The air in the Starlight Grove always tasted of silver and dreams. Not in a fleeting whimsical way, but with a palpable persistent shimmer that settled on the tongue like frost-kissed moon petals. For Lyra, it was the taste of home, of every breath she'd ever drawn, of the quiet hum that vibrated through the very stones beneath her bare feet. Her cottage, woven from living willow branches and luminous moss, stood nestled deep within the grove, its windows like eyes watching the celestial dance above. Tonight, like every night, Lyra sat on the mossy porch, her small hands cupped around a particularly vibrant starseed. It pulsed with an inner light, a miniature sun cradled in her palms, its warmth seeping into her skin, chasing away the chill of the deepening twilight. The starseeds were the heart of the grove, and Lyra was its youngest keeper. She wasn't yet old enough for the full responsibility, the great ceremonies of the solstice or the equinox, but she had her own vital task, tending to the fallen lights. Sometimes a star, too weary from its long journey across the heavens, would gently slip from the cosmic tapestry, descending as a seed of pure light. It was the keeper's sacred duty to find them, nurture them, and in time, help them return to the sky. This particular starseed, a vibrant sapphire blue with streaks of amethyst, had fallen just after the last new moon. Lyra had found it nestled in a bed of luminous ferns, humming a soft, sorrowful melody. She'd spent the week since its arrival coaxing it back to full health, feeding it drops of dew collected from moon blossoms and singing it the ancient lullabies of the cosmos. As she hummed now, a wordless, gentle tune passed down through generations of keepers. The starseed pulsed brighter, its sapphire glow deepening, mirroring the growing constellations overhead. "Almost ready, little one," she whispered, her voice a soft murmur against the vast quiet of the grove. "Almost ready to sing your way back home." Above, the sky was a velvet cloak, embroidered with countless, glittering jewels. But these were not just distant pinpricks of light. Here, in the Starlight Grove, the stars felt close, intimate, almost within reach. Lyra could discern the delicate, shimmering threads that connected them, the silent pathways of starlight that flowed like rivers through the night. She could hear the faint, harmonious symphony they wove, a celestial orchestra playing the lullaby of the cosmoses, a sound only keepers, and perhaps the very oldest trees, could truly perceive. Tonight, however, there was a subtle discord in the symphony, a faint, almost imperceptible dissonance. Lyra tilted her head, listening intently. It was like a single instrument in a grand orchestra playing slightly out of tune, a whisper of a wrong note that threatened to unravel the entire melody. She frowned, her brow furrowing with a concern that was unusual for her usually placid nature. "Grandmother," she called softly, turning her gaze towards the deeper shadows of the cottage. "Are you awake?" From within, a gentle rustle, then the slow creak of ancient wood. Grandmother Ilara emerged, her frame stooped but her eyes as bright and keen as any star. Her silver hair, braided with luminous threads, caught the light of the starseed in Lyra's hands, making it seem as if she too was woven from starlight. "Always awake, little Lyra, when the sky calls," Ilara said, her voice like the rustle of dry leaves, warm and wise. She settled beside Lyra on the mossy porch, her gaze sweeping over the heavens. "What troubles the Starlight Keeper tonight?" Lyra held out the sapphire starseed. "This one is almost ready. Its song is strong again, but the lullaby of the cosmos, do you hear it? There's a note missing, or perhaps a note that shouldn't be there." Ilara closed her eyes, her face etched with years of listening to the silent language of the stars. She breathed deeply, a long, slow intake of the silver-scented air. When she opened her eyes again, a flicker of concern, subtle but unmistakable, danced within their depths. "Ah," she breathed, a single, soft syllable. "So you hear it too? I'd hoped it was just the fading memory of an old woman." She reached out, her gnarled fingers gently touching Lyra's, feeling the warmth of the starseed. "No, your ears are true, my dear. There is indeed a silence where there should be song, and a faint echo of sorrow where there should be joy." Lyra looked up at the familiar constellations, the river of stars, the weaver's loom, the shepherd's lantern. "What is it, grandmother? Is it a new star falling, or one that has lost its way?" Ilara shook her head slowly. "Not a star, Lyra. Not in the way we usually understand it. Look there." She pointed a trembling finger towards a cluster of stars known as the Whispering Sisters, a group of 7 bright points that usually pulsed with a gentle, harmonious rhythm, often said to carry the dreams of sleeping children. Tonight one of them, the brightest and most central, seemed dimmer. Not entirely extinguished, but as if its light were struggling to break through a veil. And its whisper, usually a clear melodic chime, was muted, almost a rasp. "The Sister of Dreams," Ilara murmured, her voice barely audible. "Her light is fading, and with it, her song." Lyra gasped. The Sister of Dreams was one of the oldest and most beloved stars. Her light was said to guide the dreams of all who slept, weaving them into tapestries of hope and wonder. If her light dimmed, what would happen to the dreams? Would they become dull or confused? Would children wake restless and sad? But how? Lyra whispered, her heart aching for the distant, struggling star. "Stars don't just fade. Not like this. Not without a reason." Ilara sighed, a long, deep exhalation that seemed to carry the weight of forgotten ages. "Indeed. And the reason, I fear, is one that has not troubled the Starlight Keepers for many centuries." She paused, her gaze fixed on the dimming star. "It speaks of the Shadow Whisper." Lyra had only heard of the Shadow Whisper in ancient tales, stories told by the hearth on the longest nights. It was a legend of a time before the Keepers, when the world was new and raw, and shadows were not just the absence of light, but entities that hungered for it. The Shadow Whisper was said to be a creeping forgetfulness, a slow erosion of light and memory, born from fear and sorrow. It wasn't an active malevolence, but a passive, consuming emptiness that threatened to swallow all radiance. "The Shadow Whisper," Lyra repeated, the words feeling heavy on her tongue. "But, grandmother, the tales say it was vanquished, woven out of existence by the first keepers, protected by the lullaby." "Vanquished, perhaps, but never truly destroyed," Ilara corrected gently. "Shadows, like dreams, are always a part of the world. They merely slumber, waiting for the conditions to awaken. And now, it seems, something has stirred it." Lyra looked from the dimming Sister of Dreams to the vibrant starseed in her hands. Its light, usually so reassuring, now seemed fragile, precious. "What can we do? Can we send more light to her? Can we sing louder?" Ilara shook her head. "The lobby itself is weakening. It is not enough to simply sing. The heart of the problem lies not in the song, but in its source. The Sister of Dreams is one of the 7 starlight pillars, those ancient stars that anchor the lullaby of the cosmos to our world. If one of them falters, the entire song weakens and the Shadow Whisper finds purchase." She closed her eyes again, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "The ancient texts speak of a time when the Shadow Whisper grew so strong that it threatened to plunge the entire world into an eternal twilight. It was then that the first keepers embarked on a perilous journey to the heart of the world, a place where the lullaby of the cosmos first touched the earth, and where the Starlight Stone resides. Only by retuning the Starlight Stone, they say, can the lullaby be fully restored and the Shadow Whisper driven back." Lyra had never heard of the Starlight Stone before. Her knowledge of the Keeper's lore was extensive, but this was a deeper, more ancient layer, rarely spoken of. "The heart of the world? The Starlight Stone? Where is it?" Ilara opened her eyes, their gaze distant, as if seeing not the grove, but landscapes long vanished. "Its location has been lost to all but the oldest legends. It lies beyond the whispering woods, past the shimmering peaks, and across the silent sea, a journey that no keeper has undertaken in 1,000 years." She paused, her eyes returning to Lyra, filled with a mixture of sorrow and a fierce, unyielding resolve. A journey that, perhaps, must be undertaken again. A tremor ran through Lyra. The Whispering Woods were vast and full of ancient, gnarled trees that were said to whisper forgotten secrets. The shimmering peaks were a range of mountains so tall their summits were perpetually wreathed in clouds, sparkling with ice and strange phosphorescent minerals. And the silent sea, she'd only ever seen it on ancient maps, a vast, dark expanse where no ships sailed and no voices carried. It was a journey of legend, not of reality. But who would go? Lyra asked, her voice small. Ilara's gaze lingered on Lyra, a silent question passing between them. Lyra felt the weight of it, the unspoken truth. She was the youngest, yes, but also the most attuned, the one whose ears were sharpest, whose heart beat in rhythm with the fading lullaby. And perhaps the only one young enough, and brave enough, to embark on such an impossible quest. The prophecies speak of a child of the new moon, Elara began, her voice gaining strength. One whose spirit is as bright as a newborn star, and whose heart is untainted by the long shadows of the past. One who will hear the faintest whisper of the failing lullaby, and answer its call. She reached out, taking Lyra's hands, encasing the starseed within their joined palms. You were born under the first new moon after a century of quiet, Lyra, and your connection to the stars, it is deeper than any keeper I have known. Lyra looked down at the sapphire starseed, feeling its steady, hopeful pulse. It was almost ready to return to the sky, to add its voice to the lullaby. But what if there was no lullaby left to return to? What if the sister of dreams faded entirely, and the shadow whisper crept into every corner of the world? A sense of purpose, cold and clear as mountain spring water, settled in her heart. Fear was there too, a small, trembling bird, but it was overshadowed by a fierce protectiveness. The stars were her family, the lullaby her lifeblood. She couldn't stand by and watch them fade. I will go, Lyra said, her voice firm, surprising even herself. I will find the heart of the world and the starlight stone. I will try to retune the lullaby. Elara's face softened, a proud, sorrowful smile gracing her lips. I knew you would, my dear. It is in your blood, in your very essence. But this journey, it will be long and perilous. The world outside the grove is not as gentle as the starlight within these trees. What do I need to do? Lyra asked, her mind already buzzing with plans, though she had no idea where to even begin. Elara rose, her movements slow but deliberate. First, you must understand the lullaby itself, truly understand its intricate patterns. You must know its every note, its every silence. And you must carry a piece of it with you, a beacon against the growing shadows. She led Lyra into the cottage, where the luminous moss pulsed with a softer, warmer glow. In the center of the main room stood a magnificent loom, woven not with thread, but with strands of pure, shimmering starlight. This was the weaver's loom, where the keepers had, for millennia, gathered fallen starlight and woven it into the dreams and reality of the world. Elara sat Lyra before the loom. Feel it, Lyra. Feel the resonance of the lullaby within these threads. You must learn to draw upon its strength, to mend its frayed edges, to listen to its deepest call. For the rest of the night, Lyra sat before the weaver's loom, her fingers tracing the shimmering strands. She closed her eyes and listened, truly listened, to the symphony of the cosmos. She let the lullaby wash over her, feeling its gentle power, its infinite complexity. She began to discern the individual voices within the chorus, the deep hum of the elder stars, the playful twinkle of the younger ones, the steady pulse of the starlight pillars. And beneath it all, the faint, sorrowful discord from the sister of dreams. A whisper of silence that grew steadily louder. As dawn approached, painting the eastern sky in hues of rose and lavender, Elara returned. She carried a small, intricately carved wooden staff, smooth and cool to the touch. Its tip was fashioned into a delicate spiral, within which glowed a tiny captured starseed, not unlike the one Lyra had been tending, but ancient, infinitely deep. This is the staff of the first keeper, Elara explained, presenting it to Lyra. It contains the essence of the primal lullaby, a fragment of the first starlight that ever touched this world. It will guide you, protect you, and help you find the way to the Starlight Stone. But it will also test you, for it resonates with the strength of your own heart. Lyra took the staff. It felt surprisingly light, yet infused with an ancient power that made her skin tingle. The tiny star seed at its tip pulsed with a steady, comforting glow. And for sustenance, Elara continued, placing a small, tightly woven satchel into Lyra's hands. Moonblossom cakes, dried sunberries, and a flask of dew from the singing springs. It will sustain you and keep your spirit bright. Finally, Elara brought forth a small leather-bound book, its pages brittle with age. This is the star charts of the ancients. It contains what little knowledge we still possess of the heart of the world, and the pathways that might lead you there. It is incomplete, I warn you, for much has been lost to time and the creeping shadow whisper. Lyra nodded, her gaze sweeping over the familiar comfort of the grove, then up to the fading sister of dreams, now barely visible in the encroaching dawn. The thought of leaving, of venturing into the unknown, was daunting, but the image of the fading star, the weakening lullaby, spurred her on. "I will be careful, grandmother," Lyra promised, her voice unwavering. "And I will bring the lullaby back." Elara embraced her tightly, her frail arms surprisingly strong. "Go with the light of the stars in your heart, Lyra, and remember, even in the deepest shadow, a single spark of starlight can ignite 1,000 dreams." As the first rays of the true sun touched the highest branches of the Starlight Grove, Lyra stepped out from the shelter of her home. The sapphire starseed, now fully healed and pulsating with joyous light, she carefully placed within a delicate, woven pouch at her belt, a precious cargo. The staff of the first keeper felt solid and reassuring in her hand. She took one last look at the Starlight Grove, at the shimmering trees, the luminous ferns, the quiet, moss-covered cottage. Then, with a deep breath, she turned her face towards the east, towards the distant, hazy outline of the Whispering Woods, where her journey truly began. The lullaby of the cosmos, though still faintly discordant, hummed a quiet promise in her heart, a silent guide through the vast, unknown world. The path before her was long, the quest immense, but Lyra, the youngest Starlight Keeper, walked on, a beacon of hope against the encroaching shadow. Lyra's first steps into the Whispering Woods were like entering a cathedral built by time itself. The air grew cooler, sweetened by the scent of damp earth and unknown blossoms. Towering ancient oaks, their bark like wrinkled skin etched with countless seasons, formed a canopy so dense that only slivers of sunlight pierced through, dappling the forest floor in shifting patterns of gold and green. These rays, however, were not ordinary. They seemed to carry dust motes of pure starlight, shimmering as they danced. The whispers were subtle at first, a soft rustling that wasn't quite wind, a murmur that wasn't quite sound. It was the trees themselves, Lyra realized, their roots deep in the earth, their branches reaching towards the heavens, exchanging silent tales of sun and rain, of creatures born and gone. She felt a gentle pull, a sense of ancient presences observing her, not with malice, but with a profound, quiet curiosity. Moss, thick and velvety, cushioned her steps, spiraling up the tree trunks and blanketing fallen logs. Luminous mushrooms, some glowing with a soft, steady pulse, others flickering like tiny distant lanterns, dotted the forest floor, casting ethereal light on hidden nooks. Lyra reached out a hand, her fingers brushing against the cap of a particularly vibrant sapphire blue mushroom. As she did, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through the mycelial network beneath the earth, a tiny note of acknowledgement in the cosmic hum. She walked for what felt like hours, deeper and deeper into the emerald heart of the woods. The path, barely visible, seemed to weave itself into existence just for her, parting tangles of silver-leafed bushes and leading her around ancient root-bound boulders. Her Starlight Keeper senses, usually focused on the distant lullaby, now felt attuned to the immediate environment, picking up on the subtle energies of the woods. She felt the life force of every leaf, every insect, every hidden stream, all vibrating at its own unique frequency, contributing to the grand, intricate symphony of the forest. Suddenly, the whispers grew more insistent, coalescing into a distinct high-pitched hum that resonated not just in her ears, but deep within her chest. The air around her shimmered, and the luminous flora intensified its glow. From behind a thick curtain of ivy, a creature emerged. It was unlike anything Lyra had ever seen. Roughly the size of a large fox, it had a body that seemed woven from twilight and moonlight. Its fur was a mosaic of deep indigo and shimmering silver, constantly shifting as if catching the light from unseen stars. Its eyes, large and intelligent, glowed with an inner emerald fire, and from its back unfurled two delicate, almost translucent wings, patterned like nebulae and fringed with tiny, sparkling motes of light. It had the antennae of a moth, long and feathery, twitching gently as it regarded Lyra. The creature tilted its head, its gaze piercing, yet not aggressive. Lyra felt a flicker of recognition, a connection to the quiet hum of the lullaby. This creature was a guardian, a sentinel of the woods, sensitive to the subtle shifts in cosmic harmony. "Greetings, Lyra, Starlight Keeper," a voice echoed in her mind, clear as a bell, yet as soft as a breeze. It wasn't spoken aloud, but resonated directly into her thoughts. "We have awaited your coming. The woods have sung of your journey." Lyra, though startled, felt no fear. "You know me," she whispered aloud, her voice sounding small in the vast quiet. "The woods know all who walk its ancient paths with a pure heart," the creature replied mentally. "I am Lumina, a whisper moth, one of the many eyes and ears of these woods. You carry the nascent song of the lullaby within you, a fragile echo that stirs the sleeping harmony of the world." Lumina stepped closer, its luminous wings beating with a gentle rhythm, stirring the air with iridescent dust. "The discord grows, Lyra. The shadow seeks to unravel the threads of existence, one forgotten note at a time. Your quest begins here, but the first true melody you must awaken lies beyond the sunken glade, within the Heartwood Grove." "The Heartwood Grove?" Lyra repeated, trying to recall any ancient texts or maps that mentioned such a place. Her teachers had spoken in generalities, of ancient sites, of forgotten magic, but rarely of specific locations. "It is where the oldest song of the woods resides," Lumina explained. "A note of pure, unadulterated life, but the way is veiled. The shadow has begun to cast its tendrils even here, dimming the paths, blurring the memories of the old ways. You must seek the sun knot, a convergence of light and growth, hidden where the oldest river sings to the roots of the world." Lyra nodded, trying to process the information. "How do I find this sun knot?" Lumina extended one delicate, multi-jointed leg, pointing a shimmering claw towards a faint, almost invisible shimmer on the moss-covered ground. "The sun knot is not a place, but a moment, a confluence. It appears only when the heart of the woods truly opens itself. You must listen, Lyra, truly listen, not just with your ears, but with the starlight in your soul. The song of the oldest river will guide you, but you must first heal its murmur." With that, Lumina turned and gracefully melted back into the shadows of the ivy, its luminous form fading until only a faint sparkle lingered in the air. Lyra stood alone again, the whispers of the woods now feeling less like observation and more like a gentle invitation. She understood. Her first task wasn't to find a physical location, but to restore a subtle harmony within the woods itself. The river's murmur. She continued her journey, now with a clearer purpose. She focused her senses not on the distant cosmos, but on the immediate world around her. She listened for this song of the oldest river. It took time, her ears straining, her inner self reaching out. Eventually, a faint, almost imperceptible sound reached her. A low, discordant hum, like a string plucked just out of tune, coming from deeper within the woods. It wasn't the joyful babble she expected from a river, but a tired, mournful sigh. Following the faint, troubled sound, Lyra soon arrived at a clearing. Here, the canopy was less dense, allowing more sunlight to filter through, but the light itself seemed weaker, muted. A narrow river, its waters usually sparkling with life, flowed sluggishly through the clearing. Its surface was dull, covered in a thin film of something dark and oily, and the normally vibrant river stones were slick with an unnatural grime. The plants along its banks were drooping, their leaves pale and brittle. This was the shadow's touch, Lyra realized with a pang of sorrow. Not an overt attack, but a slow, insidious draining of life and vibrancy, silencing the river's song. She knelt at the riverbank, her heart aching for the suffering stream. The water felt cold, almost lifeless beneath her fingertips. She closed her eyes, focusing on the lullaby of the cosmos within her own heart. It was still faint, a distant echo, but it was pure. She called upon the starlight within her, drawing it up, letting it flow from her hands like warm, liquid light. As the light touched the river, the dark film on the surface recoiled, sizzling faintly. The dullness began to recede, revealing glimpses of the clear water beneath. Lyra concentrated harder, pouring her energy, her hope, into the stream. The starlight pulsed, radiating outward, pushing back against the encroaching shadow. The plants along the bank stirred, their drooping leaves slowly lifting, regaining a hint of their former green. The river's murmur, at first a strained, choked sound, began to change. The discordant hum softened, then slowly, tentatively, shifted into a clearer, more melodic tone. It was like tuning a delicate instrument, string by string. Lyra felt a deep connection to the river, sensing its ancient memory, its joy, its sorrow. She poured her own empathy into the flow, reminding it of its purpose, its song. Finally, with a deep, resonant sigh, the river began to sing. Not just the gentle gurgle of water over stones, but a true, harmonious melody, a low, vibrant hum that vibrated through the earth and into Lyra's very bones. The water sparkled with renewed life, reflecting the now brighter sunlight that streamed through the revitalized canopy. The dark film had vanished, replaced by dancing motes of light, and the river stones gleamed once more. As the river's song reached its full, joyful chorus, the air around Lyra began to shimmer again, more intensely this time. Right where the sunlight met the singing river, a swirling vortex of pure golden light materialized. It pulsed gently, expanding, then contracting, revealing within its depths a fleeting glimpse of something ancient and grand. This was the sun knot, the confluence Lumina had spoken of. Without hesitation, Lyra stepped towards it. As she entered the swirling light, it didn't feel like a barrier, but a welcoming embrace. She felt a surge of energy, a profound sense of peace and belonging. The light intensified, momentarily blinding her, and then, just as suddenly, she found herself in a different place. The air here was thick with the scent of old wood and blooming magic. Lyra stood in a vast circular grove, surrounded by trees so ancient they seemed to touch the sky. Their trunks were wider than any she had ever seen, gnarled and twisted, their branches laden with leaves that shimmered with an inner soft green light. In the very center of the grove stood the heartwood, a single, colossal tree, its roots delving deep into the earth, its crown piercing the very heavens. Its bark glowed faintly, a gentle, rhythmic pulse like a slow, steady heartbeat. This was the source of the oldest song of the woods, the note of pure life Lumina had mentioned. Lyra felt it resonate within her, a powerful, steady bass note in the lullaby of the cosmos. It was a note of unwavering endurance, of timeless growth, of life's eternal promise. As she approached the heartwood, the ground beneath her feet softened, becoming a carpet of luminous moss and tiny star-shaped flowers that glowed with a cool blue light. She reached out, placing her hand gently on the ancient bark. A warmth spread through her fingers, up her arm, and into her heart. She closed her eyes, letting the heartwood's song wash over her. It wasn't a sound she heard with her ears, but a feeling, a deep, resonant vibration that flowed through her being, aligning her own inner harmony with the primal rhythm of life. She felt the sap rising within the tree, the slow dance of photosynthesis, the myriad creatures that made their homes within its branches and roots. She felt the ancient wisdom stored within its fibers, tales of countless millennia, of the birth of stars and the shaping of worlds. As she communed with the heartwood, a vision unfolded in her mind's eye. She saw the heartwood not just as a tree, but as a nexus, a powerful anchor point for the lullaby of the cosmos, one of many across the vast expanse of the world. She saw faint, shimmering lines of energy connecting it to other such points, threads of the cosmic song woven into the fabric of reality. But many of these lines were dim, some even broken, frayed by the encroaching shadow. A gentle voice, like the rustling of leaves and the murmur of distant streams, spoke to her from the heartwood itself. "Welcome, Starlight Keeper. You have found the first note. The song of life endures, but it is not enough. To reweave the lullaby, you must gather the echoes of its creation, the scattered fragments of the primal harmonies." Primal harmonies? Lyra thought, directing her question mentally to the heartwood. "They are the fundamental tones upon which the lullaby was built," the voice explained. "The song of creation, the rhythm of time, the melody of growth, the cadence of dreams, the whisper of starlight, and the silence of the void. 6 harmonies, each residing in a place of great power, each dimmed by the shadow's touch. You have touched the melody of growth here, the unwavering heart of life. But it is weak without its brethren." The heartwood showed her glimpses of other places, a shimmering desert oasis where the sands sang ancient songs, a towering, crystalline mountain peak where time itself seemed to slow, a deep, silent cavern where dreams were woven, a distant nebula where stars were born, and a swirling void beyond the known realms. "Your next quest," the heartwood continued, "is to seek the cadence of dreams. It resides in the sunken city of Eldoria, beneath the obsidian lake. The city was once a beacon of dreams, but the shadow has twisted its slumber into nightmares, disrupting its ancient rhythm." Lyra felt a sense of awe and trepidation. The task was even grander than she had imagined. She was not just restoring a song, but retuning the very fabric of existence. "How do I reach this sunken city?" she asked. "The sun knot that brought you here," the Heartwood replied, "is but one of many such pathways. They are woven into the natural tapestry of the world. You must seek out the Dreamer's Veil, a gateway to the depths, found only where the moon's tears fall upon the obsidian lake. It will reveal itself when the true harmony of the night is recognized." With that, the connection began to fade. The overwhelming sense of the Heartwood's presence receded, though a faint, steady hum remained within Lyra's own heart, a strengthened note of the melody of growth. She knew she had absorbed a piece of its power, a segment of the lullaby's true resonance. She felt stronger, more connected to the life around her. She stepped away from the Heartwood, her mind buzzing with the new information. The sunken city of Eldoria, the cadence of dreams, the Dreamer's Veil. Her path was clearer now, but no less daunting. As she turned to leave the Heartwood Grove, the swirling golden light of the sun knot reappeared, pulsing gently. She stepped through it once more, finding herself back in the whispering woods, by the now vibrant, singing river. The woods seemed brighter now, their whispers more joyful, their light more vibrant. Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose, her steps lighter. She knew she needed to make her way out of the Heartwood Grove's immediate area and journey towards the Obsidian Lake. She consulted her mental map, drawing on the limited geographical knowledge her teachers had imparted. The Obsidian Lake was far, beyond the western edge of the Whispering Woods, nestled deep within a region known as the Gloomfang Mountains. As she walked, the familiar flicker of light caught her eye. Lumina, the whisper moth, reappeared, circling gracefully around her. "The Heartwood sings a stronger song," Lumina communicated mentally, its emerald eyes glowing with approval. "You have done well, Starlight Keeper. Your journey now takes you to the Gloomfang Mountains, a place where the shadow's touch is more pronounced. Will you guide me, Lumina?" Lyra asked, feeling a surge of companionship. Lumina hovered before her. "My purpose is tied to these woods, Lyra, but the woods have many children. You will not journey alone. The path to Obsidian Lake is fraught with whispers of a different kind, whispers that seek to sow doubt and fear. You will need one who can navigate the gloaming." As if on cue, a rustling in the undergrowth preceded the emergence of a small creature. It was stout and covered in shaggy moss-green fur, with wide, luminous yellow eyes that blinked slowly. It walked on 4 short, sturdy legs, and from its back protruded a single, twisted horn, like a piece of ancient coral. Its most striking feature, however, was a small glowing orb that floated perpetually just above its head, casting a soft, warm light. "This is Flicker," Lumina introduced. "A gloom weaver. His kind thrives where light and shadow meet, able to perceive the subtle distortions the shadow creates. He will guide you through the Gloomfang Mountains to the Obsidian Lake. He is quiet, but his senses are keen." Flicker regarded Lyra with his large, unblinking eyes, then let out a soft, chittering sound, a surprisingly gentle noise for such a sturdy creature. The orb above his head pulsed with a brighter glow, as if in greeting. Lyra knelt, offering a hand. Flicker nudged it gently with his snout, a gesture of acceptance. "Thank you, Flicker," she said softly. "I'm grateful for your help." Lumina gave a final shimmering bow of its antennae. "Go well, Lyra. The woods will remember your song." With a final beat of its iridescent wings, the whisper moth vanished into the dappled light, leaving Lyra and Flicker to begin their journey west. The journey through the Whispering Woods was quicker now, guided by Flicker's uncanny sense of direction. He seemed to perceive subtle currents in the air, shifts in the ground, and faint energies that Lyra could only vaguely sense. He led her along hidden deer trails and over ancient moss-covered stone bridges, always choosing the most harmonious path. As they neared the western edge of the woods, the trees gradually changed. The ancient oaks gave way to more rugged pines and firs, their needles sharper, their bark darker. The air grew colder, and the whispers of the woods became less melodic, more like the sighs of a lonely wind. This was the foothills of the Gloomfang Mountains. The Gloomfang Mountains lived up to their name. Jagged peaks, dark and forbidding, clawed at the sky. The valleys between them were perpetually shrouded in a bluish mist, and the sparse vegetation clung precariously to the rocky slopes. Here, the shadow's influence was more apparent. The lullaby of the cosmos felt strained, muffled, as if struggling to be heard through a thick blanket. Flicker, however, seemed to thrive in this environment. His fur, which had appeared moss-green in the woods, now blended seamlessly with the rocky landscape. His glowing orb intensified, casting a steady, warm light that pushed back against the oppressive gloom. He moved with surprising agility over the treacherous terrain, his short legs finding purchase on loose scree and slippery rock faces. Days turned into nights as they traversed the mountains. Lyra learned to trust Flicker implicitly. He would often pause, his feathery antennae twitching, then lead her down a seemingly impossible path that would open into a hidden valley or a sheltered cave. At night, he would curl up beside her, his glowing orb a comforting presence against the cold and the oppressive silence of the mountains. One evening, as they rested in a shallow cave, Lyra noticed something disturbing. The mist outside was thicker than usual, swirling with unnatural patterns. It seemed to coalesce, taking on vague, shadowy forms that writhed at the edge of her vision. The air grew heavy, the silence deepening to an unnatural degree. She felt a chill that had nothing to do with the mountain air. "Flicker?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Flicker chittered softly, pressing closer to her. His glowing orb pulsed rapidly, casting dancing shadows on the cave walls. He pointed one of his stout legs towards the mouth of the cave. Lyra looked. The shadowy forms in the mist were becoming clearer, resolving into distorted, grotesque shapes. They were not solid, but seemed to be woven from gloom and unease, their outlines shifting and blurring. They drifted closer, their presence radiating a profound sense of sorrow, emptiness, and despair. These were the whispers of a different kind Lumina had warned her about, the whispers of the shadow itself, seeking to erode hope and clarity. She felt a cold dread seep into her heart, a sudden, overwhelming sense of futility. What was one's Starlight Keeper against such an immense, ancient darkness? Her quest seemed impossible, her powers too small. The distant lullaby within her heart wavered, its melody almost drowned out by the encroaching despair. Flicker nudged her hand, then looked up at her with his luminous eyes, a deep, unwavering light in their depths. His orb pulsed steadily, radiating warmth and a quiet strength. He was a creature of the gloaming, but he was not consumed by it. He understood the shadow, but he did not fear it. Lyra looked into his eyes and a spark of resilience ignited within her. She was Lyra, the youngest Starlight Keeper. She carried the lullaby, however faint. She would not succumb to despair. She closed her eyes, drawing on the strength of the heartwood song within her, the melody of growth. She focused on the pure, unwavering light she carried. She extended her hand towards the mouth of the cave, not with aggression, but with a gentle yet firm projection of starlight. A wave of shimmering warm light flowed from her palm, pushing back against the encroaching shadow forms. They recoiled, hissing faintly, their distorted shapes blurring further. The oppressive sense of despair lifted, replaced by a feeling of quiet resolve. The mist outside the cave thinned, and the shadowy figures dissolved back into the general gloom. Lyra felt exhausted but resolute. "Thank you, Flicker," she whispered, stroking his shaggy fur. "You reminded me." Flicker chittered, pressing against her side, his orb now glowing with a steady, comforting light. They had faced the shadow's direct influence and emerged stronger. The next morning the mist was gone, replaced by a crisp, clear mountain air. The path ahead, though still steep and rocky, seemed less daunting. Flicker led her onwards, and by late afternoon they finally reached their destination. The obsidian lake lay nestled in a vast bowl-shaped valley, surrounded by sheer black cliffs that seemed to drink in all light. Its surface was a mirror of polished obsidian, perfectly still and reflecting the bruised purple of the twilight sky. No reeds grew along its banks, no fish broke its surface. It was a place of profound stillness, almost eerie in its calm. Lyra approached the edge of the lake, the air growing noticeably colder. She could feel the faint, discordant hum of the cadence of dreams emanating from its depths, a troubled, restless rhythm. The sunken city of Eldoria lay beneath these waters, its dreams turned to nightmares. "The dreamer's veil," she murmured, recalling the Heartwood's instruction. "Found only where the moon's tears fall upon the obsidian lake, when the true harmony of the night is recognized." The moon was already rising, a slender crescent, casting a pale, ghostly light on the black waters. But its light alone wasn't enough. It seemed to glide over the surface, unable to penetrate the lake's impenetrable darkness. Lyra sat by the shore, Flicker curled beside her. She gazed at the reflection of the moon, thinking about the true harmony of the night. It wasn't just about the moon, she realized. It was about all the celestial bodies, the stars, the distant nebulae, the entire cosmic dance that unfolded in the darkness. The night was not just an absence of light, but a canvas for countless points of brilliance, each singing its own part in the lullaby. She closed her eyes, reaching out with her starlight keeper senses. She focused on the faintest stars, the most distant galaxies, drawing their collective light, their ancient, soothing rhythm towards the obsidian lake. She wasn't just channeling moonlight, but by starlight itself, the deep, resonant harmony of the cosmic night. As she did, the surface of the lake began to stir. Not with ripples, but with a strange internal luminescence. The reflection of the moon on the obsidian surface didn't merely brighten, it deepened, becoming a window into an ethereal realm. Tiny points of light, like falling stars, began to descend from the sky, not actual meteors but pure motes of starlight, gently touching the lake's surface. Where each moon's tear of starlight met the obsidian, a faint silver ripple spread, and the lake's surface became transparent, revealing glimpses of the depths below. The light gathered, swirling into a luminous vortex in the very center of the lake. It was as if the lake's dark mirror was dissolving, revealing a shimmering watery gateway. This was the Dreamer's Veil. Lyra stood, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The air around the veil pulsed with an ancient, drowsy magic, tinged with a subtle sadness. She felt the pull of the sunken city, its troubled slumber calling to her. "Are you ready, Flicker?" she asked her companion. Flicker chittered, his glowing orb shining steadily. He seemed unfazed by the shimmering portal, his loyalty unwavering. Together, they approached the Dreamer's Veil. As Lyra stepped into the luminous water, it felt warm and welcoming, not cold and deep as she expected. It was a pathway woven from solidified starlight and the essence of dreams. She took a deep breath, and then, with Flicker by her side, she plunged into the shimmering depths, ready to confront the twisted dreams of Eldoria and awaken the cadence of dreams. The water closed over them, and the world above vanished. They were enveloped in a soft ethereal glow, moving downwards through liquid starlight. Below, the dark shapes of ancient ruined buildings began to emerge from the gloom, their silent forms reaching up like grasping hands. The sunken city of Eldoria awaited. The descent was surprisingly gentle. The luminous water around them hummed with a quiet energy, allowing Lyra to breathe easily, as if the starlight itself provided the necessary life force. Flicker, too, seemed perfectly comfortable, his glowing orb casting a soft light that illuminated their immediate surroundings. As they neared the bottom, the shimmering veil thinned, and Lyra found herself standing on a cobbled street, impossibly dry, in the heart of a vast ruined city. The sunken city of Eldoria was a breathtaking, yet melancholic sight. Grand arching structures of pale, almost translucent stone rose around them, adorned with intricate carvings of sleeping figures, constellations, and swirling dreamscapes. Once, this city must have been a marvel, a place dedicated to the art of dreaming. But now, it was a city of forgotten dreams. A pervasive gloom hung heavy in the air, a visible miasma that seemed to absorb all light and sound. The beautiful carvings were obscured by a layer of dark, clinging dust, and many of the delicate spires were broken, crumbling. The silence was profound, broken only by a faint, unsettling whisper that seemed to emanate from the very stones. It was the distorted cadence of dreams, a melody twisted into a restless, anxious drone. Lyra felt the weight of countless forgotten dreams, of aspirations turned to dust, of hopes shattered. The shadow's influence here was insidious, not destroying outright, but corrupting, twisting, and stifling. Flicker nudged her hand, his luminous eyes scanning the gloom. He let out a low chitter, pointing his horn towards a particularly large domed building at the center of the city. It was grander than the rest, its entrance flanked by two colossal statues of cloaked figures, their faces obscured, forever gazing into the city's heart. This, Lyra instinctively knew, was the Great Dream Weave, the nexus of Eldoria's power, where the cadence of dreams resided. They began to walk, their footsteps silent on the ancient cobblestones. As they moved deeper into the city, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They weren't actual words, but a cacophony of fragmented thoughts, echoes of twisted emotions, fear, regret, loneliness, despair. These were the nightmares the shadow had woven from Eldoria's slumber. Suddenly, a flicker of movement in the gloom. From behind a crumbling archway, shadowy figures emerged. They were not solid, like the tendrils in the Gloomfang Mountains, but translucent, wavering apparitions. They resembled the sleeping figures carved on the buildings, but distorted, their features twisted into expressions of agony and terror. These were the dream wraiths, manifestations of Eldoria's tormented subconscious. They drifted towards Lyra and Flicker, their forms radiating an intense cold and a piercing wail that resonated directly in Lyra's mind, threatening to overwhelm her with their collective despair. She felt her hope waver, her resolve threatened by the sheer magnitude of their suffering. "Flicker, stay close," she urged, her voice trembling slightly. Flicker, despite his small size, stood his ground, his glowing orb shining defiantly. He let out a series of sharp, protective chitters, his light pushing back against the encroaching gloom. Lyra knew she couldn't fight these creatures with brute force. They were not physical beings, but echoes of pain. She had to soothe them, to restore the harmony of their dreams. She closed her eyes, centering herself, calling upon the combined strength of the lullaby she carried, the melody of growth from the heartwood, and her own inner starlight. She opened her eyes, and a soft golden light radiated from her, expanding outwards like a ripple. It wasn't a blinding light, but a gentle, comforting warmth. She began to hum, a soft, wordless melody that echoed the nascent lullaby within her, letting it flow from her heart, through her hands, and out into the desolate city. The dream wraiths paused, their wails softening into hesitant murmurs. The golden light touched them, and their tormented forms seemed to soften, their sharp edges blurring. The oppressive cold began to recede, replaced by a gentle warmth. Lyra continued to hum, pouring all her compassion and understanding into the song. She was offering them solace, a memory of peaceful slumber, a promise of dreams restored. One by one, the dream wraiths began to dissolve, not with a shriek of pain, but with a sigh of relief. Their shadowy forms unfurled, transforming into shimmering motes of light that ascended towards the unseen surface of the lake, like spirits released from torment. The whispers of despair began to fade, replaced by a quiet, almost reverent hum. As the last wraith dissolved, the oppressive gloom in the city began to lift. The dark dust on the carvings seemed to shimmer and fall away, revealing their intricate beauty once more. The broken spires glowed faintly, as if mending themselves with soft light. The cadence of dreams, which had been a restless drone, now began to shift, slowly, tentatively, towards a calmer, more rhythmic pulse. Lyra, though weary, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. She had not just fought back the shadow, but healed a piece of the world's suffering. She and Flicker continued towards the great dream weave. The massive doors, once barred by despair, now stood ajar, glowing with a soft, inviting light. They pushed them open, stepping into a cavernous chamber. The chamber was circular, its ceiling a breathtaking dome painted with constellations and swirling galaxies, all gently glowing. In the center, a colossal, crystalline orb pulsed with a soft, rhythmic light, the heart of the great dream weave. Around it, hundreds of smaller, intricate crystal structures, like delicate spiderwebs, seemed to hum with silent energy, each one a repository of 1,000 dreams. This was the source of the cadence of dreams. Lyra felt its slow, steady pulse, still a little out of sync, but undeniably present. The shadow had tried to silence it, but it had only managed to twist its rhythm. She approached the colossal orb, its surface smooth and cool to the touch. She could feel the echoes of all the dreams it held, not just the nightmares, but the forgotten hopes, the beautiful fantasies, the quiet aspirations. She closed her eyes, placing both hands on its surface, and began to channel the strengthened lullaby within her. The melody of growth, the harmony of life, flowed into the cadence of dreams. She focused on the rhythm, smoothing out the discordant beats, gently guiding the scattered pulses back into a steady, soothing tempo. She imagined the cosmic dance, the rhythmic ebb and flow of creation, and poured that pure, fundamental harmony into the dream weave. The crystalline orb began to glow brighter, its light expanding, filling the entire chamber. The smaller crystal structures around it lit up in a cascade of colors, each one singing its own dream song, now clear and pure. The cadence of dreams resonated within the chamber, a powerful, comforting rhythm that promised rest, renewal, and the vibrant tapestry of subconscious creation. Lyra felt a new note integrate into the lullaby within her heart, the steady, rhythmic pulse of the cadence of dreams. It joined the unwavering hum of the melody of growth, creating a richer, more complex harmony. She felt the world shift slightly, a subtle realignment, as another piece of the cosmic lullaby was reawakened. As the cadence reached its full harmonious resonance, a vision flashed in Lyra's mind. She saw a vast, shimmering ocean, stretching to an endless horizon, its waves crashing with a sound that was both thunder and song. In the distance, a colossal, ancient structure, half submerged, rose from the depths, covered in barnacles and glowing bioluminescent algae. This was the song of creation, the next primal harmony, residing in the abyssal temple of the ocean's whisper. The vision faded, and Lyra opened her eyes. The great dream weave pulsed with a serene, powerful light, its dreams now flowing freely, healing the city around them. The sunken city of Eldoria was no longer a place of nightmares, but a sanctuary of profound rest and creative slumber. Flicker chittered happily, rubbing his head against her leg, his orb glowing with triumph. Lyra smiled, a deep weariness settling over her but also a profound sense of peace. 2 primal harmonies were restored. 4 more remained. Her journey was far from over, but the lullaby of the cosmos hummed a stronger, clearer promise in her heart. The path to the ocean's whisper, to the song of creation, lay before her, a new challenge in the vastness of the unknown, and their next destination was not whispered by a map, but sung by the lullaby itself, a faint, verdant hum that led them through shimmering, dew-kissed meadows and over mountains whose peaks touched the twilight clouds. Flicker, ever observant, pointed his glowing orb towards a horizon where the trees seemed to breathe with an ancient, slow rhythm, their branches like gnarled arms reaching for a forgotten embrace. This was the verdant heartwood, the domain of the whisper of the ancient trees. As they drew closer, Lyra felt a subtle ache, a resonance of stagnation. The trees, though grand, seemed caught in a perpetual twilight, their leaves a muted emerald, their growth stunted not by lack of light, but by a profound forgetfulness. The rich scent of damp earth and living wood was present, yet lacked the vibrant, bursting energy it should possess. They found the source of the discord at the heart of the forest, the mother tree Lyra Dara, a colossal being whose trunk was wider than a dozen houses, its crown a canopy that filtered the sky into dappled dreams. But Lyra Dara was not vibrant. Her bark was cracked not from age but from a profound weariness, and the leaves on her lowest branches were turning to dust. Around her, younger trees, though struggling to grow, lacked the deep root wisdom of their ancestors. The harmony of growth and wisdom was faltering. New life sprang forth impatiently, forgetting the slow, deliberate lessons of the earth, while ancient wisdom withered, unable to impart its knowledge. A soft, rustling groan emanated from Lyra Dara's colossal trunk, a sound that was both a lament and a fading memory. Lyra approached, placing a hand against the cool, rough bark. She felt the pulse of the forest, weak and fractured. Flicker zipped around, his light a tiny beacon, seeking out the fading threads of ancient memory and the frantic, unmoored energies of young shoots. "The mother tree remembers," Lyra whispered, "but the young ones do not listen, and the mother tree in her sorrow has ceased to speak." Lyra closed her eyes, drawing upon the lullaby. She began to weave, not with her hands, but with her intent, her spirit. She pulled threads of patient, deep-rooted wisdom from the very essence of Lyra Dara, coaxing them to bloom with renewed strength. Then she sought out the vibrant, if undirected, energy of the eager saplings, guiding those threads, like tendrils seeking sun, to connect with the ancient wisdom. She wove a tapestry of interconnected growth, where the memory of millennia flowed through every root and branch, nurturing and guiding new life. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, a change rippled through the verdant heartwood. Lyra Dara's bark seemed to soften, a faint green flush appearing beneath the weary gray. A deep sigh, like the wind through 1,000 leaves, emanated from her. But this time, it was a sigh of relief. The muted emeralds brightened, shimmering with a renewed vitality. The younger trees, still growing, now seemed to draw sustenance from an invisible wellspring of ancient knowledge, their leaves unfurling with a quiet, confident grace. The whisper of the ancient trees was no longer a lament, but a gentle, resonant hum of interconnected life, a symphony of growth and timeless wisdom. The lullaby of the cosmos gained another clear note, echoing through the invigorated forest. Lyra, though weary, felt the deep satisfaction of the earth's gentle pulse in her own heart. 3 harmonies restored. 3 more to go. The lullaby then shifted, drawing them downwards towards the very core of the world. Flicker's orb pulsed with a steady, deep ruby glow, guiding them through echoing caverns and along subterranean rivers that flowed with liquid light. The air grew heavy, rich with the scent of minerals and ancient stone. This was the realm of the song of the deep earth, the harmony of stability and resilience. They emerged into the crystalline veins, a breathtaking labyrinth of colossal crystals that pierced the darkness, glowing with an inner luminescence. Amethysts pulsed with soft violet light, emeralds gleamed with cool green, and rubies pulsed with a heartbeat warmth. But Lyra sensed a tremor beneath the surface, a subtle dissonance that ran through the very rock. The earth's pulse was erratic, not truly unstable, but suffering from a lack of deep, resonant calm. It was a trembling born of hidden anxieties, of the weight of ages pressing down without the counterbalance of unwavering resilience. The crystals hummed, but their song was slightly off-key, a beautiful melody marred by an underlying flutter. At the heart of the crystalline veins stood a being of pure, sculpted earth, a golem elder, its form crafted from obsidian and quartz, its eyes 2 polished garnets that held the patient wisdom of geology. Its massive frame was still, but Lyra could feel a subtle vibration within it, a deep-seated hum that was struggling to maintain its steady rhythm. The heart of the world beats, the golem elder rumbled, its voice like shifting tectonic plates. But it trembles with the echoes of superficial change, the fleeting whims above. True stability is not stillness, but resilient rhythm. And that rhythm is faltering. Lyra understood. The harmony of the deep earth wasn't about being unmoving, but about maintaining an unshakable core amidst all movement, a steady pulse that allowed for change without chaos. She placed her hands on the golem elder's obsidian chest, feeling the subtle, anxious tremors within. Flicker, sensing her intent, flew to a large quartz crystal nearby, his light merging with its luminescence, amplifying its natural resonance. Lyra closed her eyes, reaching deep within herself for her own core of calm, for the unwavering beat of her own heart. She began to weave, drawing upon the steadfastness of the ancient stone around her, the enduring patience of the deepest roots, the quiet strength of the planet's molten heart. She threaded these energies into the erratic pulse, not forcing it into stillness, but guiding it towards a profound, comforting rhythm. She wove in strands of quiet resilience, of deep-seated trust, of the earth's own unyielding support for all life upon it. As she wove, the tremors in the golem elder subsided, replaced by a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through the entire cavern. The colossal crystals around them pulsed in perfect synchronicity, their light deepening and steadying, bathing the crystalline veins in a warm, reassuring glow. The golem elder's garnet eyes softened, a quiet contentment radiating from its ancient form. The song of the deep earth rose, a magnificent, grounding bass note in the lullaby of the cosmos, anchoring Lyra's heart with its profound sense of belonging and unwavering support. 4 harmonies restored. Only 2 more. The lullaby, now a strong, vibrant chorus, guided them upwards, far beyond the highest clouds, through layers of iridescent aurora and nebulae of stardust. Flicker danced with excitement, his light leaving trails of glittering motes in the ethereal expanse. This was the realm of the dance of the celestial tides, the harmony of order and destiny. They arrived at the astral weave, a magnificent observatory built not of stone or wood, but of solidified starlight and captured comet tails, floating gracefully amongst the constellations. Here, the very fabric of the cosmos was observed, and, in subtle ways, influenced. However, Lyra felt a disquieting sense of disarray. Stars were not where they should be, their brilliant pathways veering off course. Constellations, usually eternal guideposts, seemed askew, their patterns blurred as if by a cosmic smudge. The threads of destiny, normally flowing in a predictable, if complex, dance, were tangled, some snapping prematurely, others looping back on themselves in endless, unproductive spirals. The cosmic ballet was faltering, not in chaos, but in a weary resignation, a loss of purpose in its grand, intricate movements. A being of pure starlight, with eyes like distant galaxies, drifted towards them. This was the Starweaver, a serene entity whose form shimmered with the light of 1,000 suns. Its voice was a gentle chime, like the ringing of cosmic bells. The threads are frayed, it chimed. The dancers have forgotten their steps. The grand design loses its luster when each star believes its path is arbitrary, or rigidly preordained without the grace of movement. The harmony of celestial tides wasn't about rigid fate, Lyra realized, but about the elegant interplay of free will and cosmic purpose, the beautiful, predictable, yet ever-surprising flow of time and destiny. She looked at the drifting stars, the tangled threads, and felt a profound sadness for the cosmic dancers who had lost their way. Flicker, usually so energetic, hovered quietly beside her, his light a steady, comforting presence in the overwhelming expanse. Lyra closed her eyes, reaching out with her spirit to the vastness around them. She drew upon the lullaby, strengthening its cosmic melody. She began to weave, gently untangling the threads of destiny, not imposing new paths, but guiding them back to their natural harmonious flow. She pulled threads of cosmic order from the deep unspoken laws of the universe, and threads of guiding light from the brilliant unwavering core of distant suns. She wove these into the paths of the drifting stars, reminding them of their inherent purpose, their elegant dance within the grand design. She didn't dictate, she reminding, allowing the stars to remember their steps, the constellations to find their proper place, and the threads of destiny to flow with renewed grace and purpose. As she wove, the astral weave shimmered with renewed brilliance. The drifting stars slowly, gracefully, began to return to their rightful orbits, their light shining with confident purpose. The constellations reformed, their ancient patterns clear and resonant, whispering tales of cosmic journeys. The tangled threads of destiny smoothed out, flowing like shimmering rivers of light, each unique, yet all contributing to the majestic tapestry of time. The Starweaver inclined its luminous head, a silent acknowledgement of the restored harmony. The dance of the celestial tides swelled in the lullaby of the cosmos, a breathtaking symphony of order and purpose, filling Lyra with a profound sense of belonging within the vast, beautiful universe. 5 harmonies restored. Only one more remained. The lullaby, now a powerful, almost complete melody, pulsed with anticipation, drawing them to a place that existed, yet didn't quite. Flicker sipped excitedly, his orb a kaleidoscope of shifting colors, as they approached the shimmering veil, the realm of the echo of the unseen worlds, the harmony of imagination and connection. This realm was a place of soft, mutable light, where the air itself seemed to ripple with half-formed thoughts and forgotten stories. Yet, Lyra felt a pervasive dullness, a grayness encroaching upon the vibrant hues. The veil between what was real and what was imagined was not broken, but thinning in a peculiar way, not allowing things to pass through, but rather dissolving the memory of wonder, the very capacity for vivid imagination. People in the worlds beyond were forgetting how to dream, how to wonder, how to connect with the magic that lay just beyond their sight. The echoes, the spirits of forgotten stories and unmanifested dreams, drifted aimlessly, their forms faint, their whispers barely audible. At the heart of this fading realm, amidst shimmering fragments of forgotten tales, stood the Dreamweaver, a being of translucent light and shifting form, its eyes like pools of starlight, reflecting endless possibilities. But now, its form was dim, its light flickering. The source of wonder grows dim. Its voice echoed, soft as a sigh, the wellspring of imagination runs dry. When minds cease to wander, the unseen worlds begin to fade. Lyra understood. The harmony of the unseen worlds wasn't about illusions, but about the vital connection between inner vision and outer reality, the boundless power of imagination to shape and enrich existence. Without it, the world became stark, colorless, and utterly mundane. Flicker, usually so full of playful mischief, hovered with a rare solemnity, his light trying to coax color back into a fading echo of a winged horse. Lyra closed her eyes, and this time, she reached into her own heart, into the very essence of what made her a weaver of dreams. She drew upon every story she had ever loved, every dream she had ever spun, every spark of wonder she had ever felt. She pulled threads of vivid imagination from the laughter of children, the whispers of lovers, the courage of heroes in tales. She pulled threads of boundless wonder from the shimmering dew on a spiderweb, the majesty of a soaring eagle, the silent dance of falling snow. She wove these threads, vibrant and potent, into the fading fabric of the shimmering veil, reinforcing its connection to the worlds beyond. She wove them into the faint forms of the lost echoes, giving them substance and sound, reminding them of their own incredible potential. As Lyra wove, the shimmering veil began to pulse with a riot of colors, like a nebula of pure thought. The fading echoes brightened, their forms solidifying, their whispers growing into vibrant songs of forgotten adventures and future possibilities. The Dreamweaver's form glowed with renewed luminescence, its eyes sparkling with endless, joyful potential. The echo of the unseen worlds swelled into the lullaby of the cosmos, a magnificent, vibrant crescendo that resonated with pure, unadulterated wonder and the boundless power of imagination. All 6 primal harmonies were restored. The lullaby of the cosmos now sang not as a promise, but as a complete, glorious symphony, resonating within Lyra's very soul. It was a melody of profound rest, creative slumber, growth and wisdom, stability and resilience, order and destiny, imagination and connection. It guided her now with an irresistible pull towards the ultimate source. The ocean's whisper awaits, Lyra breathed, her voice filled with awe. The lullaby carried them, not through space, but through a transition of being, a gentle merging of all the realms they had traversed. They stood at the precipice of the heart of the cosmos, a place beyond definition, where light and sound were one. It was not an ocean of water, but an ocean of pure potential, a vast, shimmering expanse of stardust and dreams, of living melody and silent grace. This was the source of all things, the wellspring from which the lullaby itself had first emerged. And here, Lyra felt it, the song of creation. It was not silent, but it was muffled, like a grand symphony played behind a thick velvet curtain. The 6 harmonies Lyra had restored resonated within the lullaby, powerful and clear, but they had yet to fully integrate, to become one with the grand, overarching song. The ultimate task was not to fight a darkness, but to listen, to harmonize it, to become the conduit through which the full song of creation could finally resonate. Flicker, his orb now a brilliant, pure white, settled gently on Lyra's shoulder, a silent anchor. Lyra closed her eyes, drawing a deep, steady breath. She extended her spirit not to weave new threads, but to gather the 6 restored harmonies within her heart. She felt the gentle pulse of the lullaby of the cosmos, now complete and whole, flowing through her. With every fiber of her being, she listened. She listened to the profound rest, the creative slumber. She listened to the whisper of ancient trees and the song of the deep earth. She listened to the dance of celestial tides and the echo of unseen worlds. She allowed these distinct, yet perfectly complementary melodies to merge within her, guided by the overarching lullaby. And then, Lyra did not weave with her hands, but with her entire being. She became the loom, the threads, and the weaver herself. She became the bridge. She allowed the integrated lullaby, the culmination of all her efforts, to flow outwards from her heart into the vast, shimmering ocean's whisper. As the complete lullaby resonated with the ocean's whisper, the muffled curtain lifted. The song of creation burst forth, not in a cacophony, but in a wave of pure, harmonious sound that was utterly breathtaking. It was the sound of stars being born and oceans forming, of first breaths and last goodbyes, of silent growth and joyous laughter, of every dream ever dreamed and every story ever told. It was the melody of existence itself, unified and perfect, resonating with boundless love and infinite wonder. The heart of the cosmos shimmered, bathed in this glorious, all-encompassing song. Lyra felt it wash over her, filling her with a peace deeper than any slumber, a joy purer than any dream. She was a tiny note in that grand symphony, yet utterly essential. When the last echoes of the song of creation faded, leaving behind a profound and vibrant stillness, Lyra opened her eyes. The ocean's whisper hummed with a quiet, eternal beauty. The universe felt lighter, brighter, more alive. The colors of the cosmos seemed to deepen, the stars twinkled with renewed brilliance, and a gentle, comforting hum vibrated through everything. Flicker chittered softly, nuzzling her cheek, his orb glowing with serene contentment. His mission, too, was fulfilled. Lyra smiled, a deep abiding peace settling over her. Her journey was complete. The primal harmonies were restored, woven back into the grand tapestry of existence. The lullaby of the cosmos, once a faint promise, now sang eternally, a reminder of the beauty and balance of all things. Her path had led her to the very source of creation, and in doing so, she had not only mended the world, but had also discovered the boundless power within herself. She was still Lyra, the weaver of dreams, but she was also more. A guardian of harmony, a conduit of wonder, a quiet participant in the universe's unending beautiful song. As the first rays of a new cosmic dawn brushed across the heart of the cosmos, Lyra knew her work was done. She could rest now, knowing that the world slept soundly, cradled in the gentle embrace of the reawakened lullaby, dreaming dreams of vibrant growth, unwavering stability, celestial order, and boundless imagination. She could rest now. And as you close your eyes tonight, little one, listen closely. You might just hear a faint, beautiful hum, a whisper on the wind, a soft melody in your heart, the lullaby of the cosmos, singing you to a peaceful, dream-filled sleep.